Welcome to Experience Junkies. On this show, I spotlight meeting and event professionals, global travelers, jet setters, and more to relive the moments we never want to forget. More importantly, we'll attempt as best we can to transport listeners to transformational points in our lives, sharing our observations and emotions behind these stories. By diving into the indelible impact these experiences have had on us, we decode small takeaways about how to be better humans than we were yesterday. On today's episode of Experience Junkies, you are in for a treat. I have Heidi Legein with the Mice Guru, all the way from Norway, joining me for a conversation all about digital disruption, hybrid events, virtual events, but also just not being afraid to try new things and innovate and just going for it. So she kind of gave us a little bit of life coaching and a life lesson here in today's episode. So sit back, relax, and enjoy my conversation with Heidi Legein. Welcome back to Experience Junkies podcast. Today I have a special guest, the lovely Heidi Legein with the Mice Guru or Mice Guru. For those of you who are not in the events industry, MICE is an acronym that stands for Meetings, Incentives, Conferences, and Exhibitions. And that's what Heidi is all about. And she's based way across the pond from me over in Norway. So I'm so excited to have her here to talk to us today about a special event that she hosted last year. But before we dive into that, Heidi, please tell the audience a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Hello, Deanna. Thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited to be here with you today. My name is Heidi, obviously, and I am the founder and chief executive guru at the Mice Guru. So the Mice Guru is actually a company that produces all types of events within the realm of mice, as you beautifully described. So it can be anything from small events to large brand activation, product launches, incentive and reward trips for employees, etc. And since the pandemic, we've expanded our services from doing live productions only to doing fully digital, virtual, hybrid productions with a lot of focus on innovation, freshness, on pushing boundaries, on creating that exciting interactivity between audiences, and so much more. And I'm, as you said, based in Norway, a wonderful destination, both as a destination for your in-person events, but as well in terms of using it as a decor for any type of virtual setting. And Norway is just magical. It's gorgeous nature. It's the fjords, it's northern lights. Wherever you go, there's something amazing to discover. So we really live in a playground that's absolutely fun to be a part of and to work with every day.
Well, you read my mind, Heidi, because I was definitely going to ask you to kind of tell the listeners a little bit about the secret sauce of Norway and what makes it so special and kind of painting the picture for them. But you just kind of did that so eloquently already.
Oh, there's so much more to discover. I mean, there's endless numbers of destinations all throughout the year. So whether you're looking in the winter period or summertime, you can, as I mentioned, travel through the fjords. You can go all the way up to the Arctic. You can even see polar bears if you want to have an experience at the end of the world. We have a super vibrant and exciting capital. We have destinations that are leading in terms of innovation and change, new technology. There's a lot of excitement happening in Norway. And especially now post-pandemic, it's one of the top destinations because, you know, a lot of companies and organizations are looking for exactly that. They're looking to refresh themselves and their employees. They might have changed their policies, their structures. They want to feel that fresh breeze of change. They are working with transformation. They want to see innovation, but they also want to feel safe, have enough space, and that as well. We have a lot of that to offer. Like there's a huge amount of space everywhere you go, and you can experience the nature to its fullest. Plus, we have all the modern infrastructure to create really, really exciting stuff wherever you want to go. So yeah, come to Norway.
Well, I'm sure the Visit Norway, or I don't know what the local tourism bureau is called, but they really appreciate the kind of free infomercial you just provided there for the destination for your home. I know the Mice Guru has historically kind of been about destination management services. So talk to me about when you had to make the shift to virtual. How did you initially feel about that when so much of what you were doing was, creating experiences based on a physical destination?
Exactly. Well, I am a person who really loves a good challenge. Many of us do in the events industry. So I was one of those people that immediately hopped on a digital deep dive and wanting to learn more and to get new accreditations and level up in terms of what we can do digitally and figure out ways to keep exciting our audiences through their screens when they were not able to travel anymore. So very, very early on in the pandemic, we actually went into that, and we started by creating a project called the Digital Trip, which was literally a 2-day digital travel experience. And everybody was like, wait, what? They had no idea what was about to happen. And everybody felt like, yeah, they've had already a couple of Zoom or internal Teams meetings or things like that, but they couldn't really grasp that you could do so much more and that it could be more exciting to participate in something. So the digital then at the time. And then basically the initial reaction was, am I supposed to sit 2 days in front of my computer? Like, what? How does that work? Like, am I supposed to block my calendar for this? I don't see this happening, right? And then I said, yeah, just wait and see. We were all kind of pushing with lots of exciting promotionals. And then the people who participated were like, oh my God, I couldn't even go for a coffee break or a bathroom break. I was so scared to miss something because we designed it in real time. So you were literally traveling with the group. You were coming out of an airplane and looking around, and you were discovering the place. You were meeting people. You were part of parties, and everything was in real time and live from venue to venue. So it was super exciting. Wow. But of course, we've always already been on kind of the innovative side in terms of destination management. We are not your typical tour operator style business turned MICE agency or delivering to corporate clients, but we've always worked out of the client's identity, their event goals, and then try to match that and their policies and values with parts of our destination, or creating immersive experiences based on their brand more than selling products on site, right? I'm not the type of person that will tell you, you need to go to that hotel, you need to book that venue, do that activity. I will first want to understand who you are and what you're trying to achieve. So we already had that to start with in our general in-person destination management, and you can call it what you like. A lot of people like to call us an incoming experiential agency because it's about more than just delivering services. It's creating concepts, it's developing the ideas all the way to the production. So that was already our, let's say, our core personality as a business, and then we kind of implemented that also in the way forward with the digital strategy. And now we went really, really deep into that, and we offer even consultancy on digital strategy that incorporates both internal, external meetings, conferences and events, in-person, virtual and digital, building online communities, building a solid digital identity, new marketing, and so much more. So we've expanded our services actually more than we've gotten scared of the pandemic. We just, we did what we could to quickly shift our mindset and keep helping our clients in ways that they couldn't even imagine were possible.
I'm glad that you mentioned the digital trip, because I think that's actually how I stumbled onto your page, because I was following Sabrina Myers with Hot Hospitality Exchange, and she was on the podcast for season 1. And she was posting about this digital trip, and I'm like, what is this thing that she's kind of hopping along on? So yeah, I am glad that you mentioned that, because I think that's how I first learned about the Mies Guru and like the services that you offer and that you guys exist in the world. What I would love for you to talk a little bit about is you kind of mentioned you created this immersive live experience, wasn't recorded. They were, what they were seeing via their Zoom screen was what was happening live in person. What I feel gets lost a lot of times through a screen is the sensory aspect. The sensory aspect of taste, of touch, of smell, that really, a lot of in-person events is about the foods that you're eating and the smells behind the scenes and the sights and the sounds. So can you talk about how you found ways to work around that and really connect with an audience, even though maybe some of the traditional sensory methods we would have for an in-person experience, they weren't at your disposal?
Sure. I mean, first of all, I love Sabrina. Sabrina's awesome.
Yeah,
so
2 votes there, right?
We've been good friends for a while now and collaborated on a bunch of projects. And we hired her as the ambassador for the digital trip at the time. So she did like destination tutorials, and she worked on our social media campaigns, etc. And then we had her on at the recent event called the Digital Disruptor. So basically, our entire journey has been from in-person to fully virtual to hybrid, and now going back to in-person, but not back, but having like the in-person aspect, but also a lot more hybrid to projects that wouldn't necessarily have been hybrid before. So how we started to incorporate the senses with the digital trip was by, first of all, thinking in a completely different way about how you use production tools and how you use video, for example, how you film and how you video mix the whole scenario or the whole environment to make it feel more alive and real. And you said everything was live. Not everything was live. We had a 2-day full-on program. So basically we had about 30 pre-recorded sessions, and we had, I think, 6 live venues. So you can imagine, everybody told us from the beginning, you guys are absolutely insane. And we kind of were. You have to be a little bit crazy to do stuff
to embark
like
on
that.
something like that. Yeah.
But we literally moved our entire production team live on the days from venue to venue to venue, because we said no to wanting to stream from a typical studio as everybody else was doing. We wanted to use the live venues and the live environment. And that has literally been our starting point to create that engagement on a deeper level. Because if you are in front of your screen, I keep saying the same thing over and over again, but if I'm able to cook my dinner whilst you're on or have your event on, then I'm not excited enough. I need to be like glued to my screen. I need to feel like I'm a part of it, and I want to enjoy myself there, and I can't leave, right? So that's what we tried to create. And it started with the live venues, and also the filming of everything that was pre-recorded was from a guest perspective. So you are literally, the camera is you, it's your eyes, right? So we started at a specific time, everybody landed together. I announced as the captain of the plane, welcome to your destinations, to Stavanger or whatever, and you literally see yourself walking down the steps from the airplane through the airport into your transfer vehicle. You see the duration of the transfer, you see literally what is happening through the windows. So it gives you that feeling of being on site completely, right? Then you arrive at one of the venues, and then we immediately switch to a live production, which is then streamed out of that venue with the full-on setup that you would have for an in-person event, meaning lights, setup, entertainment, a host or moderator, things happening around you. And you go through that entire experience as if you would be on site. So that's been a major part of it, using of the video technology in the filming and the mixing, live venues. And then additionally, we had VIP boxes. And I'm feeling they're starting to be a little bit outdated now, like we're getting a little bit more reluctant in terms of shipping kits and event boxes, etc. But at the time, it was very fresh and new, literally with products that you could taste. There were products from one of our celebrity chefs that was also on the program. There were things you could wear. There were things you could use in activities, like we had a crafts activity where you had to learn Viking knitting skills and things like that, So basically, imagine everything you've seen as like an online engagement activity, from mixology to cooking courses to tastings to whichever escape game or whatever, combined into a 2-day program of non-stop stuff that happens, right? So that was kind of where we went with the digital trip, and then moving towards the digital disruptor. There we're in an entirely new world. So I can talk a little bit more about that later if you like.
No, that's a perfect segue, because I wanted to kind of start diving into the digital disruptor. So unfortunately, I could not attend. I think I had a scheduling conflict. I was speaking at an event or something, and but I saw it all over my social. It seemed like everyone in the event industry was, if they weren't in person in Norway, that they were logging on online to take part in the virtual experience. So how did you find, with the digital trip, everyone was virtual, like as you mentioned, you pre-produced a lot of segments for your transitions, and then you had, your live production partners at the venues. But when you're talking about the digital disruptor, that was a live event with 2 audiences. So how did you find that shift of, making that connection with, the people that are in the room with you that can reach out and touch, but also making that connection via the screen to those who were watching thousands of miles away?
Yeah, it was such an exciting project, Diana, like really. And I usually our ideas usually start from me being annoyed with something or me getting bored.
That's usually where most inventions come from, right? They come from being inconvenienced or like a problem. So that makes sense.
I was at the conception stage of this. I was just so frustrated because I had attended event after event after event online, and all they did were talk about the future of events and hybrid events, this and that, but nobody had a nice example of an actual hybrid event that had been successful.
Yes.
So I was like, okay, guys, like stop talking, do something,
Yes, we need action, we need results.
Yeah, we need to see this. We need to push boundaries and see what we can do instead of just sitting in front of a screen and talking about visions. So that's how we kind of came up with creating a showcase event that really went beyond anything imaginable. So with the digital disruptor, it got quite complex. It was all about, again, using technology to our advantage, but combining, it was of course a natural evolution from having only virtual to introducing a live audience again. It was still very limited. The live audience was still very small because of the regulations at the time, but we had a whole lot of people joining online, as you said, from around the world. And Sabrina, she was our our live moderator for that event. So she actually traveled to Norway to be with me on the stage there. So what happened with the Digital Disruptor was that we built a program where we kind of invited some of the leading keynotes in the world at the time. We had Duncan Wardle, who was the former head of innovation of Disney at Disney. We had Sean Kanungo from Canada, who's had years and years in Deloitte and had been called the best virtual keynote speaker by Forbes for 2021. And we basically pushed their boundaries and told them, okay, let's think outside of your regular Zoom format, outside of the Zoom breakouts. We are going onto a proper event platform, and we are building a multiple dimension communication. So basically we had our live audience in a live venue, very cool venue called FOMO. I mean, literally, if you're missing out, you couldn't be in it.
You couldn't have found a better option, right?
Right. So that was where our live audience was, and we had a very big video wall, and we were literally talking, the live audience was literally talking through the video wall with the presenters abroad. So everybody was saying at the time, you can't do hybrid if you're going to have a virtual keynote speaker and people are just going to sit and watch a screen. And immediately when people say you can't do something, or they tell me no, I'm like,
Oh, you're such a rebel, Heidi. You're such a rebel. I love it.
So basically what we did was we created these multiple streams of communication with delays, with external video call links, and with beta software to augment the setting and the scenery of where our speakers were. So they were in either an augmented virtual studio, a virtual show floor, and they were literally talking to our audience members live. And that was made possible as well through very complex video mixing, but with rover cams that were walking with Sabrina, who was our audience engagement moderator, through the live audience, literally with a camera in their face talking to them. And that feed was immediately fed back to the tech team on the speaker side, so they could have a conversation. And then we had projections of what was happening in the virtual rooms with the augmented reality back into the live audience. We had what we call virtual live stations, where our live audience members went into rooms and they then did speed dating through Twine with people sitting at home. And those people at home were suddenly in the live venue and they're like, oh my God, what? Huh? Okay, cool. Like surprising elements all the time. And you literally had a Duncan Wardle talk to a guy at the bar in the live venue saying like, hey, are you already going to party? Or that was Sean, are you already going to party? Like, I wanted to talk to you, you know? And it became this entire event where the audience really felt as one. Like everybody was literally experiencing the event together, not just the live audience with people at home just sitting and watching, right? But there was so much more to it. I mean, since it was a showcase event, I also wanted the live audience to understand what is possible virtually. So we had our green screen studio literally right next to the live audience, so they could see how it is built and how with the projections they could see the result on the virtual platform. Then we had our live chats and our live activity from the platform streamed back to the live audience. So they constantly were made aware of the fact that it's not just them, but it's all those people around the world sitting at home and enjoying this with them. So we did our best to really push those boundaries and create that extra level of interactivity and engagement throughout the project. It was absolutely fabulous. It's still used now as an example of innovation in events around the world, and so much exciting stuff has grown out of this project. So definitely one of our lovely babies, pandemic babies.
Hello, Experience Junkies. Thanks for listening to the show. If you are in need of a show host, an event MC, a panel moderator, or speaker, feel free to contact me at deanna@deannacamille.com for more information. I would love to come to your show, your event, or your experience and help set the tone with the emotions and objectives your organization has for your guests. Reach out today for more information on how you can bring the Experience Junkies vibe to your next engagement. How much of recovery time did you need after this event? Because in my mind, as an event producer, I know the various elements that you had to pull together to make this happen. And you essentially had a TV studio, you had on-site AV production, you had an in-person event in terms of catering and all that comes with that. And then you also had like virtual engagement. You're dealing with Twine, which is an external event tech partner. So I'm just wondering how much recovery time it took for you after pulling all of that together.
Twine was just one of many partners. We were on Cadence, the event tech platform. Amazing to work with them, by the way. They were also very eager to work with us on this. We had Brandmatic, we had virtual photo booths, we had all types of add-ons. So it was a very long road with lots of bumps and lots of technical trials and errors and lots of experimentation. But that was literally what the Digital Disruptor was about. You know, you can't disrupt if you just do whatever you've always been doing. You have to experiment and innovate and be a little bit crazy. But in terms of recovery time, I mean, that was in September 2021. I don't think I'm fully recovered quite yet.
Makes sense.
It really took absolutely everything I had, but as I said, I mean, nothing has stopped ever since. Like, we've been growing out of that event, and so many people have seen it, and so many new projects were born out of that, because even people like you who didn't fully were able or had a chance to participate on the live day, who saw the massive engagement online, and they were like, oh my God, I've seen so much hybrid stuff on your social media, tell us more. And then when they learned
major
more
FOMO
about the event, yeah, they're like, oh my God, we want to do something like this, like help us, you know? So yeah, but not recovered. And I don't need to. I mean, I'm still kind of living on the off of the buzz of that. It was a really cool event.
Yeah, that's awesome. What I love that you mentioned is you can't disrupt if you're not willing to, try new things and experiment. And I think when I think of disruption and experimentation, it's scary for people because you're trying something new. What if it fails? So can you talk a little bit about, in building the digital trip and building the digital disruptor, how you work past that fear to go out there on a limb and do what people say can't be done? Because I think it limits a lot of people, like the fear of failure. Like, how do you get past that?
Totally, yeah. And we literally started the Digital Disruptor with an intro about digital angst, that fear of digital transformation. Mm-hmm. It's as with everything. When I started my own business, many people were saying, why? I mean, everybody wants to hire you. You could have any wonderful, exciting, super high-level position you can dream of. Why will you go through the risks of building your own company? Because I just want to try it, because I want to go for it,
Right.
And you cannot be afraid of failure if you want to innovate. There is no innovation without fear. There really isn't. Like, you can either choose to be safe and stay in this little framework or this little box that you're used to, or you can choose to take risks. And especially early on in the pandemic, I feel that it was okay to take a lot more risks than usual. People were also very forgiving. You could just totally fail. Things can go wrong, and things can still go wrong digitally, like all the time. We see it at events that, connections get interrupted, tech breaks down, things happen. You can have as many contingency plans as you want. Things can still go wrong, but people kind of embrace that. It's a possibility, just as with the in-person events right now, when you have high levels of COVID still, everybody knows there can be cases of COVID at my event. It can have repercussions. You just need to be prepared for those consequences, positively or negatively. But as I said, I love taking on a new challenge, and I never take no for an answer. So if it fails, I'll just, you keep building on it. You keep improving yourself, because failure is really a learning tool. And it excites me more than it brings me down if something doesn't work out, because then we kind of try and figure out a way around it or build something new. And that's a big part of it. And literally, the Digital Disruptor was also built on a research done in leading companies around the world, where more than half of the companies were saying that they were scared of being disrupted by their competition. And that's also a fear. So the fear of not disrupting enough and somebody else disrupting more than you, and then taking a leap ahead and taking a leading position.
Right.
That's what we as a company were able to do in Norway, for example. Most other companies, and that includes media houses and commercial agencies, marketing agencies, are still working with just your basic stream setup and broadcast and the typical video meeting tools, because they are too scared to try and push those boundaries and come up with something that is more creative or a little bit too crazy maybe in their minds, right? So to me, it's all about that. Just throw yourself out there. Nothing bad can happen. Even if you fail massively, you will have learned a massive lesson. So it's all good. It's all positive to me.
Yeah, absolutely. It's funny because, I've been on this entrepreneurial journey about a year or so myself, and it's so true that I love when you said there's no innovation without fear. And as you mentioned, failure is just like a learning opportunity. And it's such a freeing feeling when you embrace failure, when you embrace the risk of it not going to plan. 9 times out of 10, when it doesn't go to plan, what actually happens ends up being better. I've found either, job opportunities I didn't get, some of these companies are now laying off people years later. I'm like, well, I'm glad I didn't get that job 2 years ago. Or I'm glad that this event didn't come to pass because, we would have had COVID, a super spreader event, or whatever that looks like. So in the moment, sometimes failure just feels so debilitating, or just you feel kind of crushed under the weight. But in the grand scheme of things, it really can be like a turning point to either greater learning, a better opportunity, or a wider door being opened. So thank you for kind of highlighting, like, just jump and do it, because in the end, you're gonna get value from the decision.
Totally, Diana. I'm a person who really trusts my gut and my intuition and my instinct. And I do believe that everything happens for a reason. You're totally right. But if you dare to make that move, like the things you wake up with, like that first moment or that first time an idea strikes, if you dare to go for it and stop overthinking it and starting with all the reasons why it won't work, but you just go for it, then it usually turns out to be a great success. So that's kind of how I run my business and how I develop those new types of concepts.
I didn't know today's episode was going to be, a motivational speech, but that's what we're getting out of it today, right? If you don't get that message from Heidi today, it's if you just go for it, because on the other side of it, you're going to be so glad that you did.
You know what? I just started a coaching program as well. So there's a lot of people who have been telling me like, oh my God, can you help me? Like, you are fearless. You are going for it. Also, a lot of expats. I'm originally from Belgium. I've been in Norway for 8 years, but I've lived and worked in 10 countries. So a lot of people have always been asking me, how do you keep reinventing yourself and building a new life for yourself? And it's just about going for it. So now I'm finally also next to the consultancy of two businesses that we offer in terms of digital strategy. I've finally also started as a one-on-one personal coach. So I have clients now from the event industry and outside who want to really go back to the core of who they are and their passions and work on that personal development, and then include some new professional skills. So it's also a cool extra thing that's been developing throughout the pandemic.
I think you've already kind of been on that path of inspiring people to be their best selves, and personal development, as you mentioned. But another kind of initiative that you started that I loved is the Event Profs Walk. I think, one, during the pandemic, with us being home, it's just kind of finding ways of getting exercise, even though you're stuck at home or you're in quarantine. It's important to just stay active, but also the community of that, of holding each other accountable. How many steps did you get in today? How many steps I got in my 10K for today, and the monthly challenges that you've inspired. So I appreciate the fact that not only are you trying to show the event community how to create experiences, how to connect, whether it's in person, virtually, or hybrid, but also like taking care of yourself, because self-care has been something I feel like in our industry that's been pretty non-existent, not just from the health aspect, but boundaries with clients, boundaries with work-life balance, and things of that nature. So you jumping into like that personal coaching and life coaching, to me, it's like a natural transition.
Well, thank you, Diana. That's nice of you to say. And also, I love that you're a part of the Event Profs Walk community. It's actually a funny story, but things always kind of match and fall into place and create a bigger storyline in the end, right? The Event Profs Walk actually grew out of, again, me being annoyed with myself, not moving a lot. So I was thinking, it's almost 2 years ago now, I think I was taking part in the digital festival, an event online that was organized by Irina Graf from the Mice blog. And I was in this little team of event profs discussing something or following some sessions, and realized I had been just glued to my couch and my screen forever and ever and ever, not going out, not moving, and feeling horrible about it. So I just literally threw that in that group, like, I need to go walk, and I need people to walk with me. Let's go. And an hour later, we were like a little group of like 5 to 10 people, and we all went went out for a walk and we decided to record it, and then they shared the recordings, and then initially I started sharing it on my personal social media accounts, and then I thought again, this can be bigger, this can be better, this can be good for more people, right? And then I started inviting more event profs and created an actual account on Instagram called Event Profs Walk. I think now we're up to somewhere close to 800 event profs who are walking constantly around the world. We're sharing a little less frequently than before because we're all super busy, but we have this core group where we keep messaging each other and encouraging each other to stay active. And it's made such a big difference for me personally, and I've heard back from several people that they really love that little push, or that's really something, just what they need when they're having a shitty day, and you can just go and refresh your mind, go for a walk because someone is telling you, come on, you can do this, you can get off the couch and move and come back refreshed, so. And in the bigger picture, a big part of digital strategy and digital identity is building online communities. So it's also a fine example of how you can build online community as a brand without marketing your brand directly or doing hard selling of any kind, but literally just being there as a support entity for your client base, your audience, your customer group, whatever it may be. It's become so important because people spend so much more time online all the time, every single day, and then to be able to build those communities around purpose and values is actually very, very important for anyone on a personal or a business level.
Right. Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for, like you said, you've kind of been like our life coach for the industry now, from the projects, but also personal, creating community. Like, you can just be our life coach globally. We'll, kind of look to Heidi to kind of point us in our path to become our best selves. Aww. So this has been a great conversation. We're wrapping up, but I always ask every guest this question. So I don't want to put you on the spot, but I have to. We talked a lot about, creating digital experiences and connecting and your kind of background as a destination management kind of expert. But if you had one song to convey that experience or your background in your career, what would it be and why?
It's a good one. I actually love the song Winner. I don't know if you know it. Winner by Jamie Foxx and Justin Timberlake.
I think I've heard of it.
It not because I am, but because I want everybody in our network and the industry to be a winner and to feel like a winner every single day. And it's about taking those chances, those risks. It's about motivating each other and supporting each other in those communities. And I feel we are a very, very strong breed of people, especially those event professionals, but also people working with planning through in project management in their businesses every day. You have to kind of be resilient and flexible and keep adjusting and adapting to new situations. And I think, regardless of all the lows we've had, because there's no denying that it's been a true roller coaster, and we've all had our moments of just, almost wanting to give up, right? It's been tough times. We have to remember that we are so strong and that we can always keep going, and that no matter what comes onto our paths that may seem like a huge hurdle, we can overcome it. So that song Winner is literally one that I would recommend everybody to listen to regularly to remind yourself of that.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to close, being resilient, harnessing that attitude of a winner, celebrating small wins. I think because we are being hit with setbacks and, we're having to use that dreaded P word, pivoting left and right and up, down, side to side. But whenever you get a small win, just celebrate that because you are a winner. We all are winners. Just the fact anyone who is still in the event industry today, if you were in the event industry pre-pandemic and you're still in it, you're a winner right there. So thanks for that message, Heidi. Before we close, tell everyone where they can find you on the interwebs.
Everywhere. The website is themiceguru.com, but please connect with me mostly on social, where I'm very active. On Instagram, I am at the Mice Guru. The official page of the company is the Mice Guru Official, literally. I'm also the Mice Guru on Twitter, on LinkedIn. You will find a page on Facebook, company page on LinkedIn as well. I'm even on TikTok as the Mice Guru. So wherever you want to find me, I'll be there.
Yeah, and I'm sure the Mice Guru will be in the metaverse once it's established. So.
Oh yeah. We've already kind of designed a couple of hints in the Digital Disruptor to the metaverse by putting some of our speakers and even our DJ in an augmented reality type setting. And yeah, I will definitely build my own Mice Guru avatars soon.
Well, thanks so much for joining, Heidi, and have a great rest of your day.
It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for having me, Deanna. Take care, everyone.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Experience Junkies podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave us a review on Apple or Spotify so that other listeners can find the show. Be sure to join our Discord channel. This is a great place for you to give feedback, talk with me, talk with our guests and other listeners, and share your Experience Junkie tales. Thank you for listening. Have a great rest of your day.